not set yet. Uh, the exact magnification is not set yet. They'll probably. So I asked them if they can make me an eyepiece for it that with a low power around 10x. So my basic shtick with the compact spotters, I like them with a straight eyepiece, and I want the lower power to be low enough for me to use them as a monocular handheld in a pinch. That means in the ballpark of 10 power. We'll see what they do, but my basic guess is that I think they'll pull it off nicely. I think they'll first start selling the angled version sometime this year, middle of this year thereabouts, and toward the end they're likely to get the straight eyepiece. So that's on my list of things to get and test thoroughly. What else is new with Athlon? With Athlon, they also have a new rangefinder, about $300, something like that. Nice, compact. It senses angle and all that. But when I used it, it has a pretty quick refresh rate, which is nice. A lot of the budget rangefinders that I've seen, the refresh rate is pretty slow. With this one, you press a button and gets you the distance very, very quickly, and you can scan with it. So it seems like it's going to be a nice budget rangefinder. All right, that is Athlon. What's next? March. All right, so March Rifle Scopes has 4 pretty girls on the cover, another pretty girl. I think that's one of the 4, not 4, 5, 6. Right, 6 pretty girls on the cover, 1 more on the back. Have no idea if they're shooters or hired models or what. I hope they're shooters, and there are 2 guys on the cover that are also looking pretty happy with themselves. One of them sporting an epic mustache. I assume that's the order. So March is now distributed by Bullets.com. I think it's the same company that owns Grizzly Tools and all that. And the guy, I thought that the guy who owns it was a Benchess competitor or something like that. Not too many changes with March scopes, so they've got new line of scopes with better glass. And they had one there. I think it was a 5 to 50 by 56, something like that. It was very good. It looked very good. It's March. I always like March scopes, but they're target scopes, nice target scopes. What else happened? So they had several fixed power scopes. They yanked all those out of the product line and replaced it with a 48 power scope. And then they updated optical system on several. They called them Highmaster. So the 10 to 60 it was by 52. Now it became a 56 millimeter objective and better optical system. So most of the original scopes are still on sale, and they've got the Highmaster thing. I pilfered their price list. If you plan to look at the price list, I suggest you sit down first. These things are not exactly cheap. But the Highmaster scopes, so they're 48 by 52 fixed power and 10 to 60 by 56. Second focal plane, target scope, they look good. I mean, seriously good, really. And not cheap. The fixed power is $2,300, I think. Yeah. And the variable, the 10 to 60, is 3,200 with a dot reticle and 3,900 with the MTR with a sort of a tactical style reticle. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So now there are other. If you do target shooting, bench rest, whatever else, it's probably worth it for you. These are nice scopes, and the whole zero and all that. I don't know. All the original FFP stuff that I've been looking at on and off over the years, the 1 to 8, 3 to 24, 5 to 40, they're still there. The prices have not changed dramatically, I think. I didn't see any changes. I still like the 3 to 24 by 52. I think that's a nice design. What is new is, oh, there it is. What is new is the service rifle scope, since the CMP has allowed a optic now in the competition. March went ahead and made the 1 to 4.5 power scope with a 24mm objective, just for that. And then it looked nice, nice new reticle, excellent turrets, side focus adjustment. So it's a typical March thing. It looked just like the 1 to 10 by 24. It looks like it's the same body. I'm assuming it's in the optical system. Looked very clear, very clean, very nice. It'll compete against. So the Nightforce has a fixed power, and March has a variable. Second focal plane variable. The non-illuminated 1 to 4.5 power scope is 2300, 2350, and the illuminated is 2750. Yikes. So it may be very nice if I was gonna do, well, I am probably gonna start shooting CMP, but if I was in any danger of winning, I might splurge, but I'm not going to. It's just a lot of money for a 4.5 hour scope. That's my general comment for both Nightforce and for March. I think it's just too much money. Scope of this type doesn't need to be this expensive. Now, if they could sell enough of them, good for them. But I'm not convinced. Well, I'm sure they'll do fine. All right, moving on. SIG Electro Optics. So as soon as I figured out I kind of liked the original Tango 6 scope, SIG went ahead and changed them. So the Tango 6 is all new, mostly for the better, I think. It gets new turrets, 120 clicks per revolution for the precision scopes. So Tango 6, the models in the Tango 6 are 1 to 6 by 24, 3 to 18 by 44, 4 to 24 by 50, 5 to 30 by 56, right? We all know who makes them, so I'm gonna skip over that. The 6 still has really colorful catalog. I think they are, their marketing is, well, has a lot of spare time on their hands. Right, here we go. Alright, so if you remember, the original SIG Tango 6 scopes were long, well, not long, it's just fairly long, and these are short and fat. So the 1 to 6 did not change too much. It's still 30mm main tube, but instead of having those tall turrets, now it has simple wide cover turrets, and I like that a lot more. There are two reticles, one for 56, one for blackout, still front focal plane. So I think there is a second focal plane version coming as well. All of a sudden now I care, right? Before that, the SIG 1 to 6 was not of too much interest to me. It was heavy and it had those tall turrets I don't like on scopes of this type. Now it doesn't, so I'll probably look at one. With other models, so I looked at the original 3 to 18 and I liked it. It was a very no-nonsense scope. They made it a lot shorter. Now it's the same overall size as a Leupold Mark 6. But what I don't like is how heavy it is. I think it's listed at 37 ounces. So now it's got a 34mm tube. It's much shorter, which is nice. It's got the same pop-up turrets that you can either press down to lock or lift up to unlock, and there is the same basic zero stop as we had before, same idea, which is all good, but I don't terribly like the weight. What is nice though is that, so the 3 to 18 is 37 ounces, the 4 to 24 is only a couple ounces heavier, and 5 to 30 by 56 is another couple ounces heavier. So I think this time around I'll take the 4 to 24 by 50 and work it out a bit. Once we get into those weights, it's lighter than Vortex's Razor Gen 2, but not by that much. Once we get into those weights, the 3 to 18 by 44 is not as interesting for me. What is interesting, so the Tango 6 from SIG that I looked at before had a simple Milrad milling reticle, which was a nice simple reticle, but the front focal plane scope of this type is sort of begging for a nice Christmas tree, horse, whatever style reticle, and they delivered. They've got one called Dev-L. I don't know what Dev-L means. It may be in this catalog, I'm not going to look for it. But I liked it. It was a pretty cool reticle, and I think I'm going to I'm gonna test the 4 to 24 by 50 with that reticle. All of the Tango Precision versions of the Tango 6 now have their, I'm gonna read out exactly, Levelplex digital anti-cant system. So what that is, if you look through the scope on the two sides, on the edges of your field of view, there are two little, there's a ring there, they put in the two little triangles, and if your scope is level, they're dark, and if it tilts, one of them lights up. And the scopes they had at the stand, it was, if the scope is not level, it would start blinking. I found blinking very irritating. Apparently, I'm not the only one. Production models will just have the side that's above level light up, but at least it's not going to blink at you. Blinking was very irritating. The system takes away a little bit from your field of view, but I like the idea of having my, having an indicator whether my scope is level. So I think I'll sort of reserve judgment on this thing until I get it and play with it. I see the benefit. What I don't know is whether it's worth giving up some field of view for that or not. Probably is, but I really need to put it in a rifle, go shoot it, and see how I like it. In terms of basic optics, it was hard to see in there, and the lenses were absolutely filthy. I wish they cleaned them occasionally. I did not see anything terribly objectionable, right? If something is really wrong with optics, you can kind of tell. And this time around, like I said, it looked pretty respectable. Tango 4 is not changed, which is fine by me. Whiskey 5, the higher end hunting scope, is new. It's got new turrets. So the turrets on the Tango 6 are 120 clicks per revolution. So it's a 12 millirad for the mill version, which is what I care about. On a Whiskey, it's a new turret that's 100 clicks per revolution, which works out to 25 MOA. And the turret locks at 0, which I think is nice. On hunting style scopes, generally I like it. I like the idea of being able to lock turrets and not worry about them. New models, 1 to 5 by 20, all with 30mm main tubes. So they have illumination. The higher power version will have the same leveling system like as the Tango 6. They look like pretty decent scopes. They're going after, I think, the VX6s and the Razer HDLH, those. I'll choose a model and grab it. I haven't tested the previous Whiskey 5, so the new turret I've got is of interest to me, so I'll try it. Whiskey 5 and Tango 6 are made in Japan, right? So Tango 4 and Whiskey 3, they're slightly lower end hunting scope. Those are, I think, made in the Philippines. What else? Sights. So they've got their prism sight called the Bravo 4. I've been looking at it and thinking about it has very wide field of view, which is appealing, but I kind of held off, and now they changed it a little bit. They made the eyepiece adjustable, which I think is a very good idea. So I'm gonna get my hands on one and look at it. It has very wide field of view and adjustable eyepiece, so you can compensate for your eye changing, especially for older shooters. That's not a bad idea. They've got a thermal sight called Echo 1, snazzy names. So their thermal sight follows this new trend that honestly I